did that process go of creating that roadmap? Did you do it? If so, you're already much further along than most people, so congratulations. This week, I'm going to talk about the two forces that can derail that plan and strategies to overcome them. Do you remember me sharing that our brain utilizes habits to create efficiencies? Our conscious brain is referred to as the bottleneck of the brain because it can only pay attention to one thing fully at a time. Because we are wired for survival and our brain is always on the lookout for threats or being able to handle the next problem, it automates as many processes as possible to free up our cognitive resources. Our brain pawns off tasks to our non-conscious mind to do automatically, so it is free to handle whatever task is most essential in that moment. Now, this is great for efficiency and survival, but it is not so great for our higher levels of self-awareness or for making conscious decisions about positive actions to take that will lead us closer to our goals. A habit, for definition purposes, is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become an automatic solution to a problem or situation that you encounter regularly. It could be something simple, like biting your fingernails when you feel nervous, or getting a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Habits are developed through trial and error. Essentially, what happens when we encounter a new situation is our brain looks for an effective solution. Once it finds one that is reinforcing, remember, we move towards pleasure and away from pain, it catalogs that situation that occurred before the reward and then creates a rule. When we experience this event or situation, we do this behavior. If the behavior is reinforcing again, there is a stronger likelihood that we will automatically use that same response the next time we are faced with that same event. Habits are not bad. They give us the freedom to focus on other things. But we need to make sure that our habits are helping us rather than hurting us by leading us further away from our goals. So habit creation consists of 4 parts: the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. Here's a simple example. The habit: you walk into a dark room and you turn on a light. Now at this point in your life, this behavior is automatic and you give it no conscious thought. In this example, the cue is walking into a dark room. The craving, or your motivation, is the desire for there to be light. Your response is turning on the light. The reward is that it's no longer dark in the room. Simple, right? Here is another that I'm sure we're all very familiar with. Your phone buzzes, the cue. You desire to know who contacted you, the craving. You look at your phone, response. You learn who contacted you, reward. Helpful, right? Now let's look at a maladaptive example. You experience a stressor at work, the cue. You want to feel relief from that stress, the craving, so you mindlessly scroll through Facebook or some other social media to relieve that stress, response, and now you feel less stressed, reward. The problem with this type of a habit is that you now turn to mindlessly scrolling through social media to change your state when there are much more productive behaviors that you can engage in that will lead you closer to your goals. We develop habits to handle all sorts of problems, but the challenge comes when our habits are in direct conflict with the behaviors that will lead us closer to our goals. For my goal of completing the Spartan trifecta, any habits that I have that lead me down an unhealthy path will make it harder for me to achieve my goal. So if when I feel stressed, I reach for a comfort food like pizza because in the past that behavior relieved my stress, instead of a more productive behavior like going for a run anytime I feel stress, it is harder for me to make that decision that will lead me closer to my goals. It's also one vote against my identity of someone whose health is a priority. Now this is where willpower comes into play, which I will talk about next week. In the meantime, start to pay attention to what your habits are and then which ones are helping you to get one step closer to your goals and which ones are hurting you. So until next time, have a great week.